All right, beautiful people. So again, good evening. My name is Alison. I'm a certified dating and relationship coach. And today I'm hosting my free training, How to Find the Partner You Deserve 3.0. The reason why it's called 3.0 is because I've had 2 renditions of this training before. The last one was in January when we were still in the midst of COVID. So there was a lot of talk about online dating at that time. And then I had it like 6 months before that last September. So I wanted to use this as an opportunity for me to update this information where we're not exclusively talking about online dating, because obviously organic dating still exists and meeting people organically still exists. Doesn't mean I'm dismissing online dating, but I wanted to make sure that we had the most up-to-date information available as the country is reopening, minus LA, okay? So the first thing I want to do is I want to check in with all of you. I want to make sure that we are all here for the same reason, and perhaps we have some similar feelings here, right? So a lot of times when I interact with my audience, I'm interacting with potential clients and then people who become clients. This is how they're feeling. They're feeling like they're never going to find a fulfilling, loving partnership. They dread going on the dating scene again. I've had people call me and say, Alison, can you help me find a spouse without dating again? And I tell them, no. But let's figure out how we're going to navigate this dating scene again. And I have a lot of folks who contact me and they feel like the dating pool is non-existent. Like there are no quality men, no quality women, or at least not in their area, or they've had been unlucky. We'll talk about unlucky in a second. They've been unlucky when it comes to dating. They feel like there's no one who is valuable, at least in their neighborhood, right? And so let's talk about what we're going to speak about today. And again, I'm going to cover this content straight through. It'll take me about 55 minutes, and then I'll take Q&A for about 25, okay? I will say this, I'm going to be talking for about 55 minutes straight, so I really do ask when it's time for Q&A that you unmute yourself, because again, I'm going to be talking straight for an hour, and it would be really helpful if I could just get some kind of reprieve and have you guys come onto the mic, okay? So back to the topic at hand. What are we going to cover? The first thing is when we need to talk about how to self-reflect on our missteps. A lot of time we are placing blame on the other, what he didn't do, what she didn't do, which may be valid. But at the end of the day, we have absolutely no control over what other people do, and we only have control over how we function in the world. So we need to talk about our missteps, right? Number 2 is how to build yourself up to be the catch instead of us running and chasing after folks to do the catching. The last part, well, the second to last part, we're going to talk about how to sit back and allow love to come into your life. So that's a lot of like mental work. So we're going to talk about like mindset, right? That's the first half, because you will not be successful in anything in life, period, if you don't believe you have the capability of doing so. And it might sound like hoity-toity, but it is the truth. If you don't believe, you will never do the work necessary to execute. And then the second half of our training is going to be literally, how do you find a spouse? Literally, how are you successful on the dating scene? I'm a very practical person. I like concrete steps. So yes, mindset is valid, but we also need to talk about practical things that you can do to position yourself to find the partner you deserve, and then we'll talk about next steps. Okay, so who am I? Some of you may have found me probably on Instagram. I'm not a really big fan of Facebook. I do run some ads on Facebook. Maybe a friend shared a post that they liked of me, and so you decided to take a follow, and you decided to dedicate some time this evening to meet with me, right? But who am I? I have 10 years of counseling experience. I have a master's degree in mental health counseling, and I am a certified dating and relationship coach. So that's the professional element of who I am, right? It's imperative, and I think that a lot of us have learned recently in regards to the dating and relationship space, it is imperative that we're talking to people who are knowledgeable, who have the experience, and who have the training. We're not listening to folks who sound good. We're not listening to folks who look good just because they look and sound good, right? You want to be able to have some kind of trust in whoever you reach out to, either for free 99 or paid 99. You want to be able to know that who you're reaching out to actually has the training and the expertise, right? That's the professional side. Then the other side of me is that I am a newlywed. Now, I don't know how long by definition a newlywed is. It might be a year. My husband and I are coming up on a year, but this is our COVID wedding. And something I never share with anybody, which very minor details. So if you look at the photo and you look at my veil, you can see like there's two pieces of lace that's like slap in the middle. It's supposed to be the shape of a heart. But what happened was is that I actually made my own veil and I mistakenly put a hole right in that piece. So that I took a piece of lace and I cut it out into a heart shape and covered it. So little inside track about the stress of a COVID wedding and making your own stuff. Anywho, all right, so let's talk about you. I need you guys to promise me something. I need you to take action. If you've been following me for any more than a day, you know that that is what I'm about. I am about taking action, whatever action looks like to you. I am not a proponent of people waiting around. We're not hoping and praying, not exclusively, right? Like we're putting in the work. If you say you want to lose 10 pounds, then I need you to put in the work to do so. We're not going to just complain about our circumstances and not take action. So I want you guys to promise me in the comments by giving me a thumbs up, by raising your hand, that if you find anything valuable from what we discuss in the next 50 minutes or so, that you are going to take action. You're not going to sit here on a call with me for the next hour, right? And then actually not do anything with something that you find valuable. Now, if you don't find it valuable, which I cannot believe, but if you don't find it valuable, then cool. He's like, oh, this is, sis is nice. I appreciate her time, but nothing was valuable to me. Okay, I'll accept that. I doubt it, but I accept it. But what we're not going to do is sit here for the next hour together. You hear something that you know is valuable to you, and then you not do anything about it. And then turn around a week later, calling your friend, talking about, yo, there's no good guys out here. There's no good girls out here. You got to take action. Got to take action. Okay, so thank you. I see the comments going up, and I appreciate it. All right, so why are we here today? What are we talking about? Why are we taking time out on, for once, a non-rainy evening in the summertime to be here together? So the first thing is that now is the time. Now is the time for everything. Now is the time for your career move. Now is the time for weight loss or weight gain. Now is the time for you to level up in your education. If you are an entrepreneur, now is the time. Now is always the time. Always. But particularly when it comes to dating and relationships, I'm speaking to the ladies in the room specifically. If you are looking to have children, either for the first time or more children or children in wedlock, whatever that might look like for you, biologically, you don't have time. Biologically, time is of the essence. And I know it's not nice. And I know that, we don't want to hear this. We get constant pressures from society, constant pressures from our family. As someone who is going to be 35 in about 6 weeks with no children yet, right? I get it. Coming from a Caribbean background, I get it. All of my other friends having children, I get it. However, even though it's uncomfortable and we don't like it and it's annoying, it is a scientific fact. There are biological limitations that women have that men don't. And I theorize that that's one of the reasons why we're finding that women tend to want to settle down earlier than men do, because they just know that they're not necessarily as pressed. This is a scientific fact. So it's not that I'm trying to pressure you. This is the reality of the situation. That's for those who want to have children. And I know there's some gentlemen in the room too. So I'm sure there's some folks who don't. So let's talk about the other side of the coin, right? The other side of the coin is that new relationships are starting every day. Somebody's getting engaged today and tomorrow and the next day. And so we're talking about, there's no quality ABC, 1, 2, 3, boys, girls, whoever, right? They are. But every day that passes that you're not taking action and getting back into the dating scene and dating strategically and dating with intention is another opportunity for somebody else to be snatching up who could have potentially been yours. Now, if you believe that there's only one person for one person on this earth, which I don't, then what I just said is you won't agree with, right? I don't. I think that there are many people out there that you can have an amazing, fulfilling, lifelong partnership, marriage, whatever you want out of your life with. And if just logically, every day that passes, we're wasting more time with finding that person. So we have to take action. Just like I said, with everything in life, we got to take action. Okay. What else? We're getting older. We're looking for reliability. When we were in our 20s, All right, we're having fun. We're going out with our friends. You meet a guy, you meet a girl, you meet whoever. You're having the time of your life, right? Now you're slowing down. You're looking to build a foundation. You want someone you can rely on. You want someone who's going to build with you. Now, I am confident that all of you on this call are able, more than able, to build your own lifestyle exactly the way that you want it. I'm sure you're able to finance the lifestyle that you want. I'm sure you are capable of experiencing life the way that you want. I'm sure, right? Because that's the kind of people I attract. Like, my audience are people who take action. My audience are usually college educated, or they've positioned themselves in a career where they do well, right? If they don't have formal education. Point is that building an empire ain't cheap, right? It ain't cheap and it ain't easy. So if it ain't cheap and it ain't easy, and you're in a position to partner with someone who is like-minded, then why wouldn't you want to? I want a partner. It makes life easier. I can bounce ideas off of people. I can share my next steps. I can literally put together funds to build a life that we want. I want partnership. Okay. Now, this training is for you if. So if you're still wondering, oh, I don't know if this is right for me, is she really speaking my language? I'm not really sure. If you're looking for a committed relationship, then you need to stay, right? If you tend to self-sabotage your relationships, then I'm gonna need you to stay. If you date the same toxic types, which I'm telling you now, if you didn't know, that's you, that ain't them, you need to stay. If you are afraid to love again, you need to stay. And if and only if you are ready to put in some work and don't have this false belief that someone is going to fall into your lap, then you need to stay. Okay? So by the end of this training, you're going to be able to, one, analyze your personal shortcomings in relationships. You're going to be able to brainstorm an action plan as to how you'll make yourself more desirable, and very importantly, repel unqualified partners. And the last piece is you'll be able to have more confidence in your ability to find the partner that you deserve. Okay? So one of the things that I always see when I'm speaking to potential clients who then become clients, they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm asking for too much. You know, my mom says I'm doing too much. My friend says my standards are too high. You know, especially if we're talking about people of color, there may not be enough guys for just a lot, right? A lot of doubt. We have to erase that. Like, what you want is practical and realistic after you talk to me and after we go through this, right? What you want is not asking for too much. You're looking for partnership. You want someone you can rely on. You're not asking for too much. Now, we'll talk about in a few minutes being more strategic about creating those non-negotiables, about being able to pick up on red flags, about knowing when to let go. But the desire and you deserving to have partnership, you're not asking for too much in that regard. Okay? But I know that you have some fears. And so for me to pretend like I'm just going to tell you what to put on your dating profile and how to make women approach you and how to make men approach you is impractical. Again, if you don't believe it's going to happen for you, it will not happen. Whatever your it is, right? Whatever the variable is, if you don't believe it's going to happen for you, it never will. If Simone Biles feels like she's never going to make it to the Olympics, then she's never going to go to practice. She's never going to work out. She's never going to train. She's never going to go to the semifinals or the qualifiers or whatever it is. She's not going to exude what she needs in order to get there. This is basic, like, logic. So let's talk about these fears. Let's uncover these fears, because if we don't, then we're wasting our time together, right? So some fears. Oh, I'm never going to find an equally yoked partner. I'm never. Like, absolutes are ridiculous. It's just not the truth, right? Oh, the dating scene is too rough. It's too hard for me, right? Oh, there aren't enough potential good mates out there. And, oh, I don't want to put my heart out again because I don't want it to be broken, right? These are your fears. I know it. I've heard it. More fears. Oh, family is just not meant for me. You know, I always wanted kids, or I've been unsure about children, but I'm at an age right now where I'm never going to have the family that I wanted. I don't want to replicate where I came from, and I want to build a solid family, and I'm just never going to have that, right? Or I want to replicate the kind of family that I have, and it just seems like it's not happening for me. Fears, you'll be ostracized. I'm always the third wheel. My friends don't invite me any places anymore. Every time they go out, it's with the kids, and I feel all on the outs. Or a big fear that people have is that they're gonna die alone, right? We gotta face it, we gotta be honest. Let's talk about some of the myths. Again, we have to reveal in order to be able to do, right? So some of the myths are, she's lucky. He's lucky. They met in college. That's why they're together. And, they just met. It just fell into their lap. That's a myth. It's not true. It's strategy. Even if they didn't go through a training, even if they didn't hire a dating coach, there's strategy, right? There are sacrifices. There are a lot of things that people go through that you don't realize that they went through to be where they are, where you think that they're successful. Sometimes they're not even as successful as you think. Another belief, another myth. It just seems like I'm gonna have to go through struggle love in order to be successful. And I don't know if some of you are familiar with that terminology, but it's this idea that in order for you to have success in your relationship, you have to go through some kind of difficulty before. Somebody gets locked up, somebody has a baby on someone outrageously cheats, like someone is abusive, and then they get it together and finally we can be successful. No, that is a myth. That may be in our movies, that may be in our media, but that is not a fact. That is not something that is a must in order for a relationship to be successful. I can tell you based on my personal experience and the experience of dozens of my clients that that is not the case. And I'm sure you have plenty of friends and family who can reiterate that. You do not have to struggle. It's not luck. You don't just bounce into a guy on the street and, drop your books and he picks them up and you look into each other's eyes. Like, no, it doesn't have to be that. And it's probably not the truth. So I'm going to tell you the truth, right? So the truth is that you can have strategy. The truth is that you can come into the dating scene healed, renewed, and ready to love. And what I have patented, which I need to actually patent, but what I have created, I should say, is called the SSS approach. And that is how you apply strategy in the dating scene in order for you to be successful. Okay, so what is this SSS approach? Especially if you're new to me, I haven't talked about it on my Instagram in a minute. So the SSS approach is step one, you need to self-reflect. And we're gonna get into each point in detail, I promise. Step two, you need to step up. And step three, you need to sit down, relax, and take it on in. So what does that look like? So I'll tell you a little bit of my story first. If you're not on my mailing list, you don't know this story, or you may have read it a long time ago and you don't remember. But in essence, I was dating a gentleman for 4 years and he was either unwilling or unable to commit. I don't know which one, and it really doesn't matter. All I know is that my needs were not being met. So what do I mean by that? Like, how do I define commitment, right? Because everyone defines it different. So I'm talking about not willing to be engaged so we can go towards marriage, not willing to have a baby, not willing to have a bank account together so we can save some money, not willing to buy a house, not willing to do anything that I deemed as adult-like, right? So that's a problem for me. And after 4 years, if you're still unsure, then I'm gonna need to exit stage right. Like, it's just not gonna work. Mind you, I wanna give some context that I was in my late 20s at the time. So this is not like I'm 16, it's not like I'm 24. Like, at this point, if you were into your late 20s, your early 30s, you've been dating someone for years and you're unsure, then that's all the sureness you need, right? That's all the confirmation. You're unsure, that means no, which is fine because everyone has a right to make their decision. So after that relationship didn't work, because I have the training of being a mental health counselor, I developed the SSS approach and I was able to find my partner, my husband, right? As illustrated here. Fairly quickly after the breakup. We started dating a couple of months after the breakup, and we were engaged within a year and a half. When they know, they know. Anyone who says otherwise is lying, okay? A lot of times, especially for women, there's this ideology where, you have to make a choice. And, if you choose your education, then you're wasting your best years of when you're the most beautiful and youthful and perky. And so you better not choose education or career. Or there's this ideology where I've heard that, there's certain races that go to education, there's certain races that go to college and pursue an education so that they could find a husband, where other races of women go to college to actually pursue education and a career. And that's where we're messing up. No, that is not the truth. You can have it all. You can have education, you can have the career of your dreams, and you can find a partner, and you can be a good parent. You do not have to choose. You need to have a good balance, but you do not have to choose between your career and a partner, a career and children, your partner and you don't have to. If you have the right partnership, you can balance it all. So let me give you guys an example of one of my clients, right? So one of my clients, she liked guys who, I mean, I don't want to say it, but that's what's on the screen, right? That's just out of her league, right? Like, she's dating guys who would look right past her and right through her. She literally was dating, like, going after like the model types, which is fine to have a type, but if you've been single for X amount of years chasing after a type that's not interested in you, then we need to reevaluate what the standards are. Or you're dating these types, these model types, and then they're not looking for anything more than just to lay with you, and that is upsetting to you, then we need to reconsider, right? So what do we do? So we're back to this SSS approach. Like I told you, I'd break it down. So if you have your notepad, you have your pen, this is the good stuff, right? This is the mental piece. We'll take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to transition to the practicality. So self-reflection. The first thing I needed to do with my client is self-reflect on two parts. One, where did she go wrong in her former relationships? So what are some of the things that you're bringing into the new relationship that the other person never did to you? That they never gave you reason to be suspicious or difficult or jealous or argumentative. Like, we can't just think that we're going to end one situation and jump into another situation without unpacking some of the difficulties on the low end, trauma on the high end. Like, if we're not doing that, then we are going to only cause more problems and hold the new person accountable for something that they didn't do. So we need to do some self-reflection on where did we go wrong? Because I said this in the beginning, we can't control others, we can only control ourselves. Where did we go wrong in regards to our dating and relationship situation? That's part A. Part B of the self-reflection is, let's talk about you. Outside of your former relationships, what are some of the behaviors that are unattractive about you? What would your friends and family say is just something that a guy or a girl would not like about you? And be honest with yourself. Like, I know that I'm amazing, but I'm not perfect. No one is, right? And so we need to start thinking about, what are some of the things that make it difficult for me to date? What are some of the things that if I found an amazing match, they wouldn't like about me? What are some of the things that they might actually look right past me because I exude it immediately? I'll give you an example for myself. So one of the things that were extremely unattractive about me is that I used to be very argumentative. I enjoyed arguments, and I enjoyed making people feel stupid and feel small. Well, guess what? That's not an attractive character trait to have. Nobody wants to be walking around on eggshells. Nobody wants to feel stupid. Nobody wants to feel wrong, right? So I'm going to need to do some work around changing that behavior. What does that work look like? So now we're talking about the second S, right? The first S, self-reflect. The second S is to step up. We need to step up to become those better versions of ourselves. So what does that step up look like? I'll go back to my example. So again, I'm argumentative. I enjoyed making people feel stupid. That is problematic. No one likes to be around someone who likes to argue and yell and carry on and prove their point and make you feel dumb. So I had to practice that, like, to stop being argumentative. How do I do that? When I'm around someone who says something that I think is foolish, I'm going to shut my mouth. I'm going to think twice. I'm not going to go back and forth. I might not even tell them that they're wrong. I might not. Because why? Why is that so important to me? It builds up my own self-esteem. That's not a good thing to have. Shut my mouth. I'm not going to engage. I might Google it. Maybe I'll send them a screenshot. I'm not going to go back and forth with you, because that's an unattractive character trait to have. So we talk about, oh my God, there's no good guys out here. There's no good women out here. I can't find any. Maybe they see you and they don't like you. Maybe they're seeing you and they don't like you, and not like your appearance, but your attitude. I know for me, I'm from Brooklyn. I talk about this all the time. I have a Caribbean background. I am accustomed to being out. Like, I got to go. I don't have time, right? So if I'm giving off an energy that I don't have time and I can't talk to you and I'm unavailable, I have a nasty look on my face because I don't want to be approached, I don't want to be bothered, then guess what? No one's going to approach me. Let me correct that. Those who will approach me are the ones I don't want to be approached by. Those are the ones who can't read the social cues and are awkward and don't pick up that I don't want to be approached, and then they're getting on my nerves. But the ones who are want to approach me, why would they? I'm rushing, I'm going, I'm busy. I have a nasty look on my face. My body language sucks, right? So we need to first identify how we were problematic in our former relationships. We're not putting blame on anybody else. This is your life. Move on, right? And if you need help moving on, click the link in my bio on anything, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, download my ebook, move on. We can't stress about what somebody else did or did not do. That will not serve us. What we're gonna do is work on us. So one, reflecting on where we went wrong in the past so that we can change those behaviors. And two, thinking about us as individuals. What are some of the character traits that are undesirable about us, and change it so that we can attract the people that we want. It's not that there's no one out there. It's that sometimes what we exude is unattractive and they don't want us, right? Stepping up to change the behaviors, actively practicing those changes. I have a client who, she has a hard time saying no, and then she gets herself in a really tough spot, and then she's annoyed about those circumstances. She knew she should have said no. She didn't say it, and then now she's out of money, out of time, out of whatever, unappreciated. Guess what? Practice no, literally. Go in the mirror, no. No, 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 no. Whatever it takes so that you can start telling people no. Because when you put yourself in those positions and they take advantage of you, whose fault is it? Yours, not theirs. It is your obligation to do what's right by you, to become a better version of you and a happier version of you. That's the step up, right? So to go back to the particular client, dating these guys that are like gods, right? Who either look right past her or only use her for her body. So we need to talk about why that is important to you. Like, why is it that the surface looks of someone is so important that you're looking past some of the key things that actually makes a relationship work? That's the self-reflection. Stepping up to changing. Now, it doesn't mean that she's dating ugmugs, but she's looking at quality over the outside external thing, right? And then sitting down. Sometimes I call it sit back. So I apologize if you hear that interchangeably. Now I need you to sit back. Now I need you to chill out. I need you to stop chasing. I need you to stop. And this doesn't mean that women, specifically the women, I know there are men in the room. It doesn't mean that women can't say hello, but you're not chasing after. You're not texting a whole bunch of times. You're not calling. You're not asking, when are you going to take me out on a date? If they want to take you on a date, they would have asked you, right? Sit back, allow the walls to fall. Right? You're doing the work to become a better version of you. You're letting go of the baggage that you've collected over the years in your former relationships. You're letting your guard down. That's what the sit down looks like. And allowing love back into your life by not prejudging others and assuming they're going to do the same thing that somebody else did to you in the past. Okay? So we looked at her priorities. Remember, her priorities were the facade and not looking at for any depth whatsoever, and then being surprised when these Playboy type guys played her. So we need to rethink our priorities, which is what she and I did. We did that self-reflection piece. Why is it so important that she's dating these guys who are so attractive and then not considering their behavior the way that they treat her? Like, where's that stemming from? Is it a childhood thing or what have you, right? And so we did a deep dive about that. Then we also talked about her making a better first impression. So some of the difficulty that she was having, like I said, is that she was kind of getting looked past. Well, if you want to attract these types of guys, then you need to look like them, right? So taking care of your skin, taking care of your hair, looking at your appearance. Like, your appearance matters. I mean, you might not like that, but it's the facts of life. And one of the things that she was really particular about is that she had low confidence about her smile. And so she literally got braces. Because that was something that caused her to not feel as confident. Right? So this is my rendition of her with her braces. And now she had a lot more confidence so that when she went back out into the dating scene, Either she's dating these Adonises, which is her choice, fine. I need you to qualify them to make sure they're good people. But just in general, when you're walking out with so much more confidence, you're going to be exuding the energy to attract like-minded people. Okay? And the last thing is sitting back. Like, sit down, relax, chill, allow those walls to break down, allow love back into your life. If you are putting up a force that's going to block people out, they're going to be blocked out. And it's one or the other. So either you're going to give someone a chance with strategy, right, which we're going to talk about in the second half, or you're going to be lonely forever, which is okay, but you can't have it both ways. Okay? We're not chasing after anybody. Doesn't mean you can't introduce yourself, but after the introduction, if they are not interested in meeting you where you are, if your text messages are this thick and their text messages are this thin, they're not interested. If they're unsure about setting up a date, they're not interested. If they can't find time to call you back, they're not interested. And that's A-okay, because there's going to be plenty of people you're not interested in either. Everything is not a perfect match, right? There are plenty of matches out there for you, but plenty of folks you don't like. Just like you don't like plenty of folks won't like you, and that's A-okay. We're glad that they are not wasting your time. I love the idea of being rejected immediately, rather than being rejected 6 months down the line, 2 years down the line, 10 years down the line. Reject me, please, now, so I can move on. So I said all of that, and I'm sure some of you still have your doubts, right? So let's uncover that. You're still thinking, oh, I don't want to have to start over, and I hear what you're saying, Alison, but no, really, there really isn't anybody in my town. Like, I know what you're saying, but really, there's nobody there. Or, I don't have control. That's another big piece. Oh, I don't have control. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't make anybody want me. I can't make a relationship work. So let me tell you, you actually do have a hand over your love life. And I'm going to tell you why. If you are successful and you were able to complete a degree, you think you did that all by yourself, but you didn't. You didn't do it all by yourself, right? There was some professor who liked you when you had to over tally to get into the class when it was filled. There was some advisor who looked out for you, who advised you. There was somebody in the office who signed off on your graduation. Your parents who allowed you to live in the home rent-free while you studied. People had a hand in your success. If you are successful in your career, somebody hired you the first time, even though you had no experience. Some supervisor appreciated your work, and then they put up for you to get a promotion. Maybe you got a small loan of $1 million, like our former President Trump, to start your business. Whatever, someone helped you. You are not an island. You did not grow up in the Amazon. There's been some assistance in some form or fashion. So this idea of, well, I was successful on my own in my business, and I was successful on my own in my education, but this is different because I need someone to meet me 50-50. No, you've had help. So you haven't done this all on your own. It may have been a lot of you, 80-20, 90-10, but someone had a hand. So just like someone had a hand in your successes in the past, someone will have a hand in your success in the future when it comes to dating and relationships. Okay? Some of you are like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, Alison, this is the last straw. Like, I'm doing this training with you, and then if this stuff doesn't work, then I'm over it. Stop doubting yourself. Again, back to my Simone Biles. As long as you believe that you don't have the capability, you don't have the capability. As long as you believe that you have the capability, you have it. No one can tell me that I can't be a rocket scientist. If I said, I don't want to do this anymore, and I stopped everything and went back to school, I would be a rocket scientist. I don't know how long it takes, 5 years, 10 years. If I wanted to be a medical doctor today, and I decided I wanted to stop this, I'm going to do it. I have my faculties. I can do anything. And so can you. But as long as you believe it won't happen for you, guess what? It will not happen. You are absolutely right. And just like you believe that it won't happen for you, you're absolutely right. It won't. Some of you are still thinking, Alison, I hear all that. And back when I was 30, that made sense. And back when I was 35, that made sense. But I'm 42 right now. I'm 44 right now. I'm 48 right now. I just don't think that I'm going to have the family I'm looking for. Technology is a mother. If you take action now, you can either do it on your own, the natural way, right? Or not. But in some form or fashion, you can get it done if you want it done, okay? And again, these myths, I need you to get it out of your mind. I don't have control over the guys in my town, the girls in my town. I don't have time. I'm so busy with work. Whatever you want to do, you'll make the time. If you want it, you'd make the time. If you really want it, I should say, you would make the time. So we need to stop with the excuses. And something's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with you. We all need to put in work to become better versions of ourselves, but nothing is wrong with you that makes you unworthy. So we got to get that idea from our minds. And I'm going to tell you the truth. You can craft the life that you want. You have the ability to craft the life that you want. You craft it with your education. You crafted it with your career. You've crafted it with choosing your friends. We don't choose our family, but we choose who we talk to in our family. You have the ability to craft the life that you want. You do. I'm telling you, if you ain't believe it, right? You can manifest it. Now, I'm not talking about manifestation with crystals and stuff. I ain't hating on the girls who do the crystals. I'm not knowledgeable, right? I just don't know. I'm talking about manifestation in terms of putting in the work necessary to get to the goals that you want. Some of it is subconscious, right? Which we're going to talk about in the second half when we get to the practicality of how to date successfully. But if we don't have the right mindset, the next half of this ain't going to work, okay? You can manifest the life that you want. You can manifest the partner that you want. You can do it by putting in work. Yes, they say that relationships are work. You do have control. You do have the time, and nothing is wrong with you. Nothing. I'm going to tell you briefly about another client that I had, high-powered, very successful, financially well-off client. This was her problem. Number one, she chose mates who were unwilling to commit over and over and over again. She'd say she's unlucky. I told her she was not being strategic. She wasn't asking the right questions. She wasn't eliminating people immediately in the game. That's the problem. She chose mates based on potential and not based on reality. We are too old to be dating people on what we think they could potentially become. We have to look at the reality and decide whether or not who they are as they are right now, is that good enough for me? If it's not, keep it moving. Especially when we complain about these projects, but we keep choosing them. Stop building people up. Date folks based on reality and not what you think they may become if you work hard enough. You're not their mom, you're not their dad. That is not your job. It's not your job. Now you can support each other through hard times, but my job is not to build you, right? This is not Build-A-Bear. And she hated, I don't want to start over. Okay, so then you're going to be unhappy. So this is how we corrected some of her mistakes, right? This is how we erased the mistakes. The first thing I did was I challenged her belief system. So how are your perceived, preconceived notions impacting your life? I had a client who told me, oh, I have to live on my own before I can live with somebody else. Says who? Who said that? No, you don't. Historically, especially women have not. They've gone from their parents' home to their husband's home, right? Historically. You don't have to be in any particular place in your life. Now, should you be relatively financially stable before you're investing time in meeting people? Yes. Should you be physically healthy? Yes. Should you be mentally healthy? Yes. But you don't have to have these very concrete, established elements of your life in order for you to find someone. Or this other one, preconceived, men are intimidated by me. No, you're probably a jerk. You're probably leading with your successes, right? And so they don't like you because of that behavior. And that's a very masculine behavior that we need to undo. You are leading with your personality. You're leading with your wit. You're leading with your intelligence. You're leading with conversation. When you start the conversation with, I'm a CEO of, then you've made yourself unattractive. When you're aggressive like that, you're making yourself unattractive. And this is the men too, because I've had guys walk up to me. We were at a restaurant ordering food and slap his BMW keys on the counter, then look at me like I was supposed to do something. I don't care about your bummy BMW. We cannot lead with what we perceive as our life successes. We're leading with what lasts, which is our character, our personality, to see if we click, okay? So now, back out those pens and papers. We're gonna go through the practicality of dating. This is what I've taught in my Dating 101 class. It was a 3-hour class that was $141, and you getting it for the free. So be prepared, okay? One of the first things that you need to do before you get out on the dating scene, whether in person or online, which we're gonna talk about in a couple of slides. Number one, I need you to create 3 SMART goals. I need you to create SMART goals around your relationship. You need to have a clear vision as to what you're looking for in your relationship, and you need to write them every time you go to sleep. I put every night, but some people who work other shifts, write them down every night. This needs to become a part of your subconscious before you go to sleep. This is a part of manifestation practices so that it becomes top of mind when you are dating and when you're seeing people. Also, before you go out in public or on dating apps, I need you to create a set of non-negotiables. These are the traits that are an absolute must. You will not waver. If this person does not seemingly have these traits, you will not consider them. I am going to say seemingly because I know what y'all thinking. Oh, well, they come across like that. Well, that's what time and dating is for. So when people tell me they don't want to date, this is what dating is for. To vet, to clarify, to confirm that this person is an appropriate match for you. You are going to have to be strategic about how you figure that out, which we're going to get into. You're also going to write that every time before you go to sleep so it becomes a part of your essence. When you are on the dating scene, when you're asking questions, when you're meeting people, you have to have a clear vision as to what your do's and don'ts are, which you will and will not accept, and you need to have a clear vision about your relationship goals. Okay? More about the relationship goals. Relationship goals are not hashtag me and somebody's son, me and somebody's daughter. Relationship goals are it's not you kayaking down one of the rivers in Jamaica that we see on Instagram. Relationship goals are talking about how you envision your life with your partner. It does not mean a description of who he or she is. That is for your non-negotiables. Relationship goals talk about how do I envision my life with, and it could be a shadow with him, with her, with whoever. So my life is going to look like me investing in multiple properties with my husband, and we're going to build this real estate portfolio. It's going to be an empire, and I'm going to position my children so where they can decide whether or not they want to work for the man or they're going to work for their mom and their daddy, right? That's my relationship goals. I did not say anything about my husband. I didn't say he was handsome. I didn't say that he was rich. I didn't say that he was kind. I didn't say that he was loving. He and I are going to create this type of life. Maybe the life that you and your partner are going to create is a life of travel, where you experience different cultures. Maybe the life that you and your partner are going to have is that you're going to live on a yacht in the middle of the ocean. I need you to know what your life is going to be like. And this is not a description of the person themselves. Now, the non-negotiables. These are describing the person that you want to be with, their behavior and their character. I put 5 to 6 non-negotiables. The reason why I say 5 to 6 is because one of them I'm going to leave for attractive, however you define it. I would highly recommend that you're not very stringent about how you define it, right? So she has to have a 24-inch waist. He has to be 6'6". That's not practical. I'm telling you that right now, right? So one of them is going to be attractive, however you define attractiveness. The other 5 are going to be about behavior or character, not their salary. And I'm going to tell you why using salary as a non-negotiable is problematic for you. There are doctors who are making $350,000 a year who are asking attendees for loans and money. They are living beyond their means. They have too many cars. Their house is too much. And they are financially a hot mess express and have student loans out the wazoo, right? The amount that someone makes does not necessarily define how comfortable their life is. I understand that we want someone who's equally yoked. I understand that you want to live a comfortable lifestyle, but using salary as the definitive line is not intelligent. Instead, if money matters, you're going to say someone who's financially sound, financially stable, and you need to define what that looks like for you. But salary inherently does not mean that someone is financially stable. Look at all the celebrities and NBA players we know who go broke and they make millions. So be mindful of that, okay? So now that you have your non-negotiables, now that you have your relationship goals, we're going to talk about online dating and then offline dating, okay? So online dating, how are you going to attract people? How are you going to optimize your dating profile? So the first thing is, again, knowing exactly what you're looking for in a mate, because you can have the best profile and then people are contacting you and you don't know what you want. You're going to be inundated with people that are not appropriate for you. Next thing, I need you to have clear photos of you and only you. 5 to 6 photos, some of them close up of just your face, some of them your physique. You need to know that whoever's matching with you knows what you look like, so you're not self-conscious going out knowing that he saw pictures or she saw pictures from 10 years ago, right? And no comparisons. I don't need pictures with me of my pretty cousin or my ugly sister. I don't have any ugly sisters, but you get the point. You and only you. Okay, what else? 3-line bios. And most of you ladies are ladies on here. Men aren't reading them. So to make them long is a waste of your time. However, you do want to have some content. So your 3-line bio or about me is going to have your name. Hi, my name is Alison. I am really interested in travel and I'm a cheerleading coach. And I'm on Bumble because I am looking for a long-term relationship that leads to marriage. 3 lines. What men tend to do is that they look through photos, they like a photo, they'll send you a copy and paste message, hey, good morning, whatever. You respond, the few that do, right? Because they're throwing out like a wide net. The few who respond, then they read your stuff and see whether or not it's appropriate. That's usually the tactic. So put something. If you put in a whole long story, nobody's reading that, period. So we have the photos, we have the 3-line bio, and then from there, you have the prompt sandwich. What does that look like? So what I shared on that class, that was $141, you're getting it for the free. Make sure you're writing this down. They're gonna ask you prompts. A perfect date looks like blank. My 3rd grade teacher would say blank about me. You're gonna make a prompt sandwich, 3 parts. The first part is gonna be nice and easy, real soft. I'm a geek because I like watching Friends reruns, right? Nice and easy. That's the first prompt. Second prompt is the down and dirty. That's when you're straightforward and super clear about what you're looking for. One of my non-negotiables is blank. Do not give them all away because people will pretend to be something that they're not to get access to you. But something, I am on this dating app because a solid relationship looks like super clear. Like I'm here and I'm serious. I'm not here to play with you. You're not going to use that tone, but that's what the message will be. The last one, again, soft. My favorite memory with my mom is that we used to go to the beach. Whatever, right? So again, the prompt sandwich that's what it looks like. Soft, hard, soft, okay? Now, let's talk about in-person interactions, which is not as targeted as online dating. I'm a huge proponent of it if you are strategic. But I know some of you are gonna push back, and I know some of you who are really smart are gonna use both tactics at the same time, okay? So what does in-person interactions look like? First of all, and I put it in bold, and it's the only thing that's in bold out of this entire presentation, that is 64 slides. You need to go out. No one is going to walk into your house unless it's the plumber, the electrician, or a burglar. Maybe the delivery man, but now they're leaving it on the porch. You cannot say, Alison, I don't want to be on dating apps. I want to meet people organically, and then say, well, I'm not going out though. Good luck, you'll be alone. Learn how to knit, get some cats. You got to go out. If you're not going out, you're not going to meet people. So that is an absolute must. Again, the only thing that is in bold for this entire presentation. If you're not going out, then you are hurting yourself. Get it together. Next thing, keep in small groups, please. Gotta be in small groups. And I'm speaking to ladies specifically. If you are going out in large groups, I'm talking about groups of like 3 or more, it is intimidating for men to approach you. And no, they're not beta men, right? They're human beings. So if they have me by myself at the bar, they have you and 3 of your friends at the bar, who's an easier, I don't want to say the word target, but person to reach out to, right? Me. I'm easier. It's only me. If I reject him, it's quiet. It's only between he and I. If the 4 of y'all reject him, it's maybe loud and it's extra embarrassing. It's embarrassing times 4. If he wants to buy me a drink, it's 1 drink. If he wants to buy you a drink, it's 4 drinks. And forget about if there's a girl who says, it's girls' night, we not trying. Or, and I don't know a clean version for this term, so I apologize in advance, the cock blocking friend who wishes that she was getting the attention and you're getting all of it and saying, no. Go out either by yourself, or if you don't feel comfortable, don't feel safe, find a friend. Going out in large groups is problematic. Same thing for the gentlemen, because I know that there's at least one guy on here. You're going out in large groups. First of all, women don't want to approach guys when they're alone. You think you're going out in large groups and a woman's going to approach you? Good luck. Ain't going to happen. Ain't going to happen, okay? Please monitor your nonverbal. So even if you are by yourself and your arms are crossed, you're rubbing your head, you're giving folks the impression that you don't want to be approached. Remember, we talked about this, right? I'm from Brooklyn, Caribbean background. I understand the tough face. However, that tough face is going to get you in a position where no one's going to approach you, as they shouldn't, because they are reading your energy and reading your nonverbals, right? The last thing is you got to slow down. You're in the supermarket, slow down. Laundromat, slow down. Subway, slow down. If you are in a rush, people are reading those as nonverbals that I can't approach her. She's running to the train. Now, that might not be very practical every day because some days you are late, some days you got to go. But just keep in mind, when you are rushing task to task to task, you are putting out the energy of I'm too busy to talk to you. Then you're surprised, oh, I dressed up so nice to go to the supermarket. Then I went to the laundromat. Then I went, and no one approached me. Yeah, because you're mad busy. How can they? Why would they? Right? In-person interactions, part 2. Women, ladies, you can do some of the approaching. It will not kill you. What don't kill you make you stronger. If they're by themselves, if you're reading the body language that it's safe, that they seem like they might be giving you the eye, do some approaching. When you are approached or are doing the approaching, make it short and sweet. Transition. We are not here to learn somebody's whole story. You're doing an introduction. Hi, my name is Alison. You're making a connection. Oh, I haven't seen you in this neighborhood. Are you new around here? I've lived here for 20 years. Blah, blah, blah. Then transition. Well, I'd love to get to know you better. Can we exchange Instagram? I'd love to get to know you better. Can we exchange phone numbers? I'd like to continue this conversation. Can we exchange blank? Make it short and sweet. Because if you're cruising, you want to give yourself the opportunity to meet other people too. And you don't want to hold them up all night. Like, we got it, right? Especially if you're coming from a metropolitan city like mine. Short and sweet, right? And it saves you from being awkward. And the last bullet, transition to phone or Instagram exchange. Usually not Facebook, because Facebook is usually more parent or family based. And you can always block them thereafter if it's problematic. Make it quick. Either when you're approached or doing the approaching. Women, you can ask for a guy's number. You can ask for his Instagram. It's 2021. We talk about we want equality, but we don't want to do some of the things that make us equal. Stop being a punk, okay? So now you have a choice. There's 2 roads you can, well, actually you have 3, but y'all all said y'all were taking action, so y'all only have 2 options. You can take the information I've just imparted. You can put it into action. DM me, email me, let me know how it goes. I'd love to hear your success stories, because if you do take action with the information I provided, first the mindset, and then the practical application of how to be successful online as well as offline, you will find success eventually. Another path that you can take is to work with me directly. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what my program looks like, and then I'm going to take questions from you guys about everything: mindset, practical dating skills, and the coaching program, okay? So first, I'm gonna share some testimonials with you guys. I'm not gonna read all of it, but in essence, one of my first clients, this was in the midst of COVID, and she shares that she looks forward to our sessions every week. She looked forward to the homework that she had every day. Yes, if you're part of my coaching program, homework every day. And she was not dating at all for years after leaving her child's father. She actively started dating. She was having an amazing time, and that was in the height of the pandemic, okay? So transition from not dating for years to actively dating. Another client, she says the experience and journey has been lit. This was from, like, there's more, so I need a little context. Today's date, he wanted to go early, enjoy the sun and the nice weather. We had brunch at Suede, a restaurant in Brooklyn, and they walked the Brooklyn Bridge. So engaging, fun dates again. Okay, this is one of my favorites. And again, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but 5 weeks into our 8-week coaching program, she was going on dates, quality dates with quality men that she met through Match. And now she's exclusively dating a great guy. On one of their dates before their boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, exclusively dating, he flew her out to Miami. She's in North Carolina. 1-day date, no hotel, no expectations of putting out. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This guy's flying her out. Now, I'm not saying that we all gonna have all these kind of great, amazing dates, but I'm telling you, if you are strategic with what I have presented, either with or without me, with me will be faster, with or without me, you can find the partner you deserve. She's an amazing woman, and she found an amazing partner, and they're actively dating now. It's been about 3 months since she left the program, and that is her boyfriend. I only like the word boyfriend, partner. I'm not 12. Okay, so what does this program look like? It's called The Partner You Deserve, the coaching program. It's an 8-week weekly session that's done through Zoom like this, either in small group, no more than 3 people, plus me makes 4, or on an individual basis. How do we do this? We have a 3-pronged approach. It's called the SSS approach. I already told you. that we are going to self-reflect. That's some of the program. We are going to step up. We're going to sit back and allow love into our life. And I'm going to walk you through, handhold you, be like an old school Bluetooth in your ear through the dating process, looking at your dating profile, making sure that it is set up appropriately, coaching you through how to introduce yourself to gentlemen, coaching you through how not to make the same mistakes over and over again, building the confidence necessary to exude that on the dating scene. So even if you're not approaching people, making it where people are approaching you, which is specific to your struggles, your needs, your strengths, your desires, okay? And then for the groups, the ones that are the small groups, we do have a Facebook support group where you can drop comments, screenshots, issues, and we could talk about it just in our group. This is not for all of my clients, only those who are paired together in that cohort. So we have privacy at all times, okay? So what does it look like? What do we do? I help clients to clarify exactly what they want in a mate. We talked about that. So I'm helping you to really flush out your non-negotiables. Okay? I help you to reflect on where you went wrong so you don't make the same mistakes over and over. We co-create and optimize your dating profile so you're attracting the right mates and repelling the wrong ones. Building that confidence so you feel prepared as you enter into the dating scene. Now you have intention. Now you have focus. Now we're talking about how do you vet people? What are the red flags? How do you determine something's a red flag versus a pink flag, something that you just looking out for? Specifically, what questions do I ask to figure out whether or not this person is an appropriate match for me? Okay. And lastly, I help clients to emotionally and mentally prepare for commitment so that you're building the family you want, you're building the legacy you want, you're building the lifelong love that you deserve. Yes, you deserve it. Okay? So what is my program not for? If you're not interested in a committed relationship, I'm not the one for you. It's okay, but that's just not it. If you're not ready to face your fears and to challenge your belief systems, this ain't for you. If you don't take accountability for your life, this is not for you. And if you think that all men ain't this and all women ain't that, this is not for you. Okay, and I'm not for you. I do have my calendar open. So if there's anyone who's interested in booking a complimentary call, it's a 30-minute call to see whether or not this program is an appropriate match for you, whether or not I can help you, then you can go ahead to my Instagram and you can click on my bio to book a call. I have the next 6 days that I've opened specifically. It wasn't open, but I opened it for this training for you guys to book that 30-minute complimentary call. You can go to my website, alignwithallison.com, and also book a call by clicking on the Align With Me tab. All right. I do want to thank you for your time. As I said, it would be about an hour. I'm like an hour and 2 minutes. But at this time, I'm going to take questions about anything that you have in regards to dating or relationships. We have about 20 minutes together. I would really appreciate if you would unmute yourself. Maybe you raise your hand so we can have some kind of order. And then you can unmute yourself after I've called your name, or I can unmute you. And then we can really get to whatever specifics you may have. So the first hand that I see is, Miss Flowers. I don't want to mess it up. Angelisa? Or maybe your hand was up from earlier. Angelisa, I see your hand is up, but I'm not hearing from you. Okay, Angelisa, I might be saying it wrong. Last name Flowers. I'm gonna lower your hand because it might have been up from earlier. Okay. Oh, yes, we have someone, Gwendolyn. I hope I got that right. Miss Brooks, you can unmute yourself and share your question, please.
Absolutely. Thank you. Good evening, Allison.
Good evening.
My question is pretty much just definitely with regards to wrapping your mind around that mindset of that you are worthy, that you are willing to allow yourself to open up back to the possibility of the dating and love and stuff of that nature. And pretty much when it came to your previous clients, especially when they were having those roadblocks and those unfortunate, circumstances or just doubt themselves, what are some advice or tips that you gave them that really helped them to really get themselves back into it,
Yep.
as you stated?
That's an excellent question. And actually, I did an interview yesterday on a podcast where someone asked me a similar question, so I'm prepared. This is what I said and what I have said in the past. You are convinced, not you, but this person, right, is convinced that they will be unsuccessful. They are convinced because they've been told this: you'll never make it, you'll never find a husband, you'll never have a man. My mother would say, you keep your room like this, you're never gonna get a husband. I'm 12. Like, sis, are you for real? Like, right? So you've heard this language, or you've had experiences over and over again where relationships did not work. And so as a result, you begin to believe, well, clearly something's wrong, it's never gonna happen for me. So because you've had these thoughts, or because you've been told these things over and over and over again, you begin to believe it. You weren't born into this world thinking, I'm never gonna find a husband. You weren't even thinking about that, right? Until someone started to say it, or you started to believe it based on your experiences. And so what I tell clients to do is, just like it was done to them, they can undo it. You can undo your belief systems. So one of the things that I highly recommend are affirmations. Highly recommend them. Writing them, and with a pen, writing them in your notebook, sticking them around the mirror, sticking them around the laptop, whatever it takes. Write down what you want. And you have to be very careful about your affirmations. You're not writing, I'm gonna try to start dating again. I think I may deserve, like, I will start dating in the next 2 months. I will find a partner. I will walk down the aisle in 2 years. Like, whatever your goals or your aspirations are, and this is professionally, personally, whatever, write them down. They become your reality when you write them over and over and over again, when you read them over and over and over again. Again, someone convinced you, either verbally or through experiences, right? It could have even been yourself, that you were incapable. This is never gonna happen for me. I'm never, right? So just like you've convinced yourself, or someone has convinced you, you can unconvince yourself by literally feeding yourself, and you're convincing you, right, that this can happen for you, whatever it is. Does that answer the question?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Author, I see that you have your hand raised.
Hey, Alison, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? How can I help?
Good. Hey, thank you. So your SSS approach, can you break down what that looks like, maybe like from a male perspective?
So it looks exactly the same, right? So as a man, you are self-reflecting on where you went wrong in your former relationship. So what didn't you do well? We're not putting the blame on anybody else but you. We could sit here and talk about she didn't, he didn't, but what did you don't do wrong that was not healthy or not positive for your relationship? That's part A of the self-reflection. Part B of the self-reflection is, what are some of the character traits about Author that's undesirable? What would your friends say about you? I'm sure they have tons of good stuff. What are some of the bad things they would say about you? Oh, Author is impatient, or Author is whatever, right? Whatever it may be. And start to change those behaviors. So that's self-reflection. The step up is changing the behaviors. So if they say Author is impatient, then you are going to actively begin to be more patient. When you're just about to tell somebody to hurry up, you're not going to say a word. When you are just about to, send a nasty email to someone because they didn't respond in a timely manner, you're going to rewrite that email. You're going to step up to become a better version of you. And then the last part is the sitting back. It's not putting pressure on yourself, allowing yourself to date multiple people, right? Because we're taught many times, you date one person, you marry that person, that's what you have for the rest of your life. You open yourself up to dating and to experiences so that it can be fun again. So it's literally the same thing. Any thoughts, Author?
Okay, yeah, that's great. Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm thinking like maybe like in a social setting. So the reflection part is very important, sitting back and being able to like receive what it sounds like.
Yes, absolutely.
And that sort of thing. So I was just curious what that looked like.
Yep. So that means when you have a wall up, if you had a wall up, right, then you are not saying, this woman's going to treat me just like the last one. The last one took advantage of me. She's going to do the same thing too. That's how all these pretty girls are. That's how they do. That's how they treat guys, right? It's going to be, I'm going to lower my wall. I'm going to give this new person a chance. She didn't do anything to me. I have no proof or evidence that this is the type of person she is just because the ex did that doesn't mean that she will. That's the sit back. That's lowering the wall. That's receiving attention, affection, potentially love. Anything else, Arthur?
Let's see. Yeah, so okay. I'm thinking about social setting. So okay.
What do you
So it
mean?
just sounds
Like,
like
just the second time you said social setting. So what do you mean specifically? Give me.
okay, yeah. So like you gave an example of maybe going out with like a friend or a partner versus like a crowd of people.
Yes.
And like say say I'm at an event, right? And then I'm there, it's a lot of people socializing, and I'm there with a friend. And so, you know, you describe like you're sitting at the bar, you know, you look um you're positioned in a way that someone would want to approach you
Yes.
and that sort of thing. So, and I know that was like a woman's perspective, but I'm curious what that looks like with a man, right?
Mhm.
Who's typically initiating things.
Right. So what it looks like for a man to have the energy that says, "Hey, I'm approachable. Come up to me."
Right. And doesn't look
Okay.
like the person that's like always on the go, taking care of business.
Right. So if you're out socially, so what I recommend for men or women is to one, either be by yourself or at least or one other person, no more, not at least, no more than one other person. So by default, that's the first level of being approachable. If you were in a large group, people are going to be intimidated and they won't approach you because they're afraid of rejection. They don't know what the other people are going to say. It might become a big ruckus. Ha ha, get out of here. We're not interested. Right. So number one is either being by yourself or with a wingman, one other person. Number two, with being approachable from the male perspective and also from the female perspective, is that you don't want to be engaged in in-depth conversations that look really serious. So I talked about like you're crossing your arms, you're rubbing your head. If you're with someone, you don't want to give off the energy that this is an intense conversation and don't interrupt. You want to give off the energy. You're literally opening up your chest. You're sitting back. You may not even have your back to the audience, right? So like if there's the crowd, you want to open up your chest so that people can see literally that you are open versus being an in-depth conversation with your wingman. Then why would I interrupt you? You clearly are busy, right? On the phone, if you are on the actual phone, we have been taught to not interrupt people when they're on the phone. Get off the phone. You can scroll casually because that's what people do when they're bored. But being on the phone gives me the impression that you are busy, and so I'm not going to interrupt your conversation. That's what I've been taught my whole life. So those are ways that you can put out energy so that you are more approachable. And again, that's for men or women, anybody.
Okay, that's perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Jasmine.
Hello. That was a great question, Arthur, and I kind of wanted to piggyback off of that because I kind of see where he was coming from in regards to like if you desire to be an intentional person, but then to also be, instructed to sit back and allow it to receive it, you can I know that they can happen at the same time, simultaneously, but they seem a little contradicting, especially, for a man's perspective or for even a woman that doesn't mind or likes to initiate, whether that's with men or women. Like how would we sit back and just be there at the bar by ourselves, ready to receive when especially for a man, and you also mentioned in the presentation was like, hey, women, we can approach men too, like don't be a punk. Well, the reality is you have to say that because we've kind of been conditioned to be punks and not really say anything to men. So it's kind of, to hear this, I appreciate that there is a man on the call so that we can get that perspective, but also hearing it on this side is like, man, if this is what men are told too, and we want men to be intentional, especially if that's like for me personally, that's a non-negotiable. I want a man that's intentional.
Mm-hmm.
But kind of sounds like Arthur wants to be intentional, but it's like, but no, sit back and allow
So
whatever happens.
Jazz, let me interrupt you. I called you Jazz like you're my friend. Is that okay, Jazz?
Yeah, that's good, girl.
Okay, good. I'm like, Jazz. So, all right. So when I say sit back, I don't necessarily mean that literally, right? Like sitting back in the sense of allowing love to enter back into your life, allowing dating to happen back into your life, allowing enjoyment back into your life. So like, just like when I say, drop the wall, it's not literal. Like, what I mean is that you are allowing yourself to have those experiences. If you do the first S, right? Like, okay, these are the things that I did wrong in my relationship. I'll do better next time. And then the same S part 2, which is, these are some of the character traits that are undesirable about me. And then you do the second S, which is, all right, I'm going to become a better person. This is how I'm going to practice it. But I'm still afraid. And so I'm not even going to respond. I'm still afraid. So I'm not going out. I'm still afraid. So I'm not going on dating apps. That is the sit back part. That is, so it's not sitting, like, literally sitting back and just letting people come to you and say, hey, why you're not coming up to me? But it's allowing love, allowing conversation, allowing interactions, allowing experiences, allowing dating to occur without holding the other person accountable for stuff that they didn't do. Does that clarify it all?
Yes, it clarifies it for me. I'm just thinking of myself. I'm also in the work of developing more of my feminine energy. So in my head, I'm thinking like, but that doesn't make sense for a man. But that's really not I'm not supposed to keep up with what it's supposed to make sense for a man. But like in my head, I'm just thinking allowing all these things for a man, but a man in this world kind of has to be intentional. He has to make those steps.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I get both sides. It's just it was just, I appreciate there being a man on the call so I can hear both sides and have something to think about within myself. So thank you for that. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. So Jasmine, the other piece of that too is that I think you're defining intentional as a man is only intentional, or a man's example of intentionalism, if that's a word, is approaching you. Maybe he really didn't notice you. Maybe we are in a lounge and it's dark and people are smoking hookah and there's smoke everywhere and he really just did not see you. So I don't think that just because a gentleman didn't approach you, it means by default that he's unintentional. It really could mean that it's dark, it's crowded, it's whatever. He did not notice you, and not because you're not worthy and not beautiful, but things happen. Like, we don't have eyes everywhere. So just because a guy wouldn't necessarily walk up to you, it doesn't mean, at least the way that I define intentional, doesn't mean that he's not intentional.
Correct. Yep, I agree.
Okay. Miss Knights, you have your hand raised. Thank you, Jasmine, for that.
Hi, Allison. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. You can call me Nikki. So I just had two questions. Do you find that people when you have people do the non-negotiables between 5 and 6 and they're writing it every day, do you find that people change it over time and maybe begin to take things off and then reapply different non-negotiables to it?
So when I work with clients, no, because we spend a whole 45 minutes going through, why is this important to you? How do you define it? How did you not see it in your life? How did you see it in your life as a child? And so we make sure by the end of the session that they are what they are. Now, it could be in life, as you're dating, you realize that there's a character trait that actually outweighs the other, but it wouldn't be a circumstance where you start to, I don't know if this is what you're insinuating, but like you start to get desperate, so you start to remove stuff off the list. It might be where it's, you know what, I just didn't consider this trait, and that really is more important to me, so I'm going to replace it. But relatively speaking, when I'm working with my clients, we don't change it because we spend a whole hour on it. We're sure that these are things that are an absolute must for you, and you will not waver.
Yeah, not the getting desperate part.
Okay. But over time, you may go through the dating scene and realize, there is a character trait that I didn't think of before, that I might want to consider swapping out for another. Yes.
Okay.
So not in a position of, oh man, I can't find a guy that has all this, so I'm gonna start dropping things. Nope, they're non-negotiable. We're not negotiating.
Okay, got you. And then the last question was, as far as online dating apps, are there any that you suggest over the other, or do you recommend trying multiple dating apps?
Mm-hmm. So what I highly recommend, and I have like a whole story on this on my highlights because it's a long answer. I do not have specific recommendations. I can tell you two that I do not recommend. One, like for sure, and hopefully this recording doesn't get out, I don't get sued, but Plenty of Fish. Like Plenty of Fish is a hookup app. If you're looking for something of value, most people on there are not, right? Another one I'm not crazy about that I have not heard success from my clients would be Tinder for that same ideology. But other than that, my recommendation is that I cannot tell you what's a good app or a not good app, and this is why. Depending on where you live, depending on the race of the person that you're looking for, and depending on your age. So those are the three things that really dictate if an app is good for you, right? If you are an older woman and you're in your 50s, then an app like Coffee Meets Bagel is not a good app for you because the average person on there is 35. Not that Coffee Meets Bagel wouldn't be a great app for me, because that's exactly my age, but it wouldn't be a good app for them. If you are interested in dating, let's say, Black men exclusively, right? That's your preference, and that's what you want to do. Match is probably not a good app for you, only because Match is the largest dating app in the country, probably internationally. And so the pool represents the population of our country, which white people are the majority. So those are the things that you need to consider. So what I tell people is, you're going to open up a window on your computer, and you're first going to Google top 10 dating apps in my city. And you put the city, Miami, New York, wherever, right? Then from there, you're going to take a couple, like the top 5 of those, and you're going to Google what is the age range for those 5 apps, right? Then from there, you are going to Google what is the racial makeup, because usually age, race, and location, the demographics, that's like the bottom. And then from there, you start to meet people and decide whether or not they're an appropriate match for you. So I cannot answer that question. I will tell you that I am a fan of Bumble for some people, some. And the reason why I say that is because I've had some clients who are like really good looking. And so when they post their photos, they get a ton of messages, comments, and sometimes they get a lot of inappropriate messages, right? Like I'm talking about like nudes and stuff like that. And it's very depressing, and it makes you not want to get on the app anymore. The beautiful thing about Bumble, if you're not familiar, is that it requires that women initiate the contact. So men cannot randomly send messages. They cannot randomly connect. You would relatively vet them through checking out their profile, and then you initiate. So the reason I'm a big fan of Bumble is for that reason. It puts more women in control. However, there are some women who don't want to take control. They don't want to take the lead. They don't want to be the one who initiates, right? Like we just discussed with Jasmine. And so clearly that app wouldn't be right for them. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's literally what it takes. What's a good app for one is not a good app for all.
No, you answered that really well. That made sense, actually. I would have never thought of the fact that, the racial makeup and the age range and things like that. No, that was good. I'm good with that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Miss Brittany, you have your hand raised.
Hey, Alison, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. When we talk about the self-reflection and the stepping up, I know personally one of my undesirable traits would be that I do have some masculine traits, some masculine energy that I am working on. However, do you have any recommendations for building that femininity when your masculine traits have been built over time as a survival mechanism?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like rooted deeply into my core.
Yep. And can I tell you that you are me and I am she? Like I 100% get that. When you're coming from a position of survival, it is in your best interest to lean into your masculine energy, to be safe, to function in this world. I get it. I get it. I get it. And so let me tell you what I've done. So what I've done is literally go on YouTube. I literally, and I'm still working on it too. I literally have gone on YouTube and Googled how to become more feminine, because it's a lot more than just painting your nails pink and wearing shoes, right? Like femininity has a lot more to do with it. It really is a practice of letting go. And just like we talked about those undesirable traits of you practicing, if you have a problem of saying no, like practice saying no, right? Or me like shutting my mouth and not having a response every time someone says something that I think is foolish. It's literally first identifying. So this is the first step, identifying how your masculine energy is exuded. Like, what do you do specifically? So something of me is that I talk over people, right? So I would write that down. Whatever your masculine energy looks like, you're going to write down specifically what that looks like for you. And once you've identified specifically what that looks like to you, then you are going to literally make an effort to do the opposite. So I know that I have a problem of talking over people. I think that I know everything. I'm going to show you I know right and you don't know right. So when I'm in conversations with people and I'm about to do that, I literally think twice. That can also be a part of your affirmations, right? Because like I said, we've trained ourselves for some bad things. That means just as easily as we trained ourselves for the bad, we can train ourselves for the good. So after you've identified specifically what are some of those traits that are masculine that you don't want to do, you are going to write down the exact opposite. Like I said, for me, I'm not going to write, I will not talk over people, because you don't write affirmations in the negative, you write them in the positive. So I will allow people to speak. I will wait before I respond. Writing that over and over again, reading it over and over again. Whatever masculinity might look like for you that you want to change, you are going to proactively work on doing the exact opposite. Writing it down in the positive, taking a breath, thinking twice before you do what you've identified as problematic for you.
That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. I have time for one more question, guys. Anybody? Natasha said, whew, relatable. It's relatable. It's not easy. In a modern world, the expectation is just, it's not easy. Well, okay, beautiful people, that wraps this up. Thank you so much for joining. I will have the recording available and up. So if you ever had to walk away or what have you, give me like 24 hours and I'll have it up. I'll post it on Instagram. You'll see it over and over again. For anyone who missed it, they can check it out. If you do want to connect with me, please go ahead and click the link in my bio to schedule a complimentary call, and let's see if I'm in a position to help you. I don't take on everybody. This is not a money grab. It's really if I believe and I'm in a position to support you, right? So thank you, folks. I'm running off to my next session, which is in 2 minutes. I'm gonna grab some water. Love you all. Adios.